Hello friends, today's art lesson is how to draw a ship. Today we're going to be doing an exercise where we look at the inside of a ship and all of its compartments that compose the underside of a ship. We'll also be drawing the mast and the sails and using our imaginations to think about how a ship is used, learning a little bit about the different portions of an actual ship. And what you'll need is a piece of paper, a pencil, your imagination. Let's get started. Before we get started drawing our ship, I want to show you an illustration that I found, which is the inspiration for today's art lesson. I came across this old illustration of the inside of an HMS, I think it's a cargo, a trade ship, I think. And it inspired me as I was looking at each one of these chambers and all the different parts that make up a ship. And I thought it would be a really good exercise to do like we did in our house exercise, to draw the inside cutaway of a ship. And so as we're starting, we're going to first draw a straight line. Now my line is not going to be perfectly straight because I'm not using a ruler, but you can use a ruler, and you can also use the printout that I provided in today's activity. I'm going to draw this straight line to give me my guide of the top portion of this main part of the ship. Now to help me, I'm going to draw the base of the ship just to give myself an idea of where I'm going to be connecting to. So here I have the bottom and the top. Now the very top portion is going to be actually wider than the bottom. And the reason is because the shape of it is going to come in like so, and it's going to be flat on the bottom, and then we're going to have this part kind of close to the bowsprit, and it's going to also come in just like this. Now I'm going to have an eraser handy. So that I can erase what I need to and connect those lines. There we go. So here I have the base of a ship, and now I'm not being, like I said, perfectly perfect. I'm not using a ruler. You can use a ruler. And here we have our basic outline. Now we have masts that are going to actually connect all the way through. Did you know that the masts are connected to the very base of the ship, and that's what keeps them so strong? So I'm going to actually have two masts today. There are so many different kinds of ships. This is going to end up looking a little bit more maybe like a pirate ship. I'm going to put my lines in for my masts, and that's going to give me this base part down here is actually going to this mast step. It's going to connect to that base, and it's going to be really, really strong. All right, before we get to this upper portion, let's focus on this inner portion. This is the part that I think is going to be really fun today. I'm going to give the inside of my ship two main levels and then one kind of base level. And my lines are really not very straight today, but I don't want this to be about perfection. I want this to be about you having a lot of fun making this. Now, this is where your imagination can get really creative. I don't want you to necessarily do the same things that I'm doing, but I hope it will inspire you. All right, I'm going to draw up here the quarter deck. This quarter deck right here is like a little upper portion of the deck, and then from there, I'm going to draw a line. Now we're going to get this nice big room, and guess what that nice big room gets to be? That nice big room gets to be the captain's chamber, or the captain's cabin. So I'm going to draw the side portion of a really big fancy bed because he's the captain. And then maybe in this section, I'm going to draw a table with maybe a chair. He's got to sit down and look at all of his maps. You know, let's make this a pirate ship, or that'll just make it a lot more fun. So he's got to look up here. Maybe he's got a big map on the wall of all the excursions that his crew has been on. So here we have the really nice big captain's deck, and you can make this as creative as you'd like. Now below here, we're gonna make this the captain's storeroom. So the captain, because he's on the boat all the time, the crew is gonna come and go, but he's gonna have his own kind of place of storage. So I'm gonna make all these crates. Maybe these are treasure chests that he doesn't want anybody else to see. Maybe it is just all of his stuff because he doesn't live in a house anymore. He just lives on a boat. You can fill that in however you'd like. Now I'm gonna have a ladder that's gonna go up to my main deck up here. And I'm gonna just draw this in like this, just so we can kind of see where this main deck is. All right, back to my ladder. This one's gonna be a nice wide ladder. It's gonna be nice and big. And maybe this connects down to a room that has a table. Maybe it has some shelves over here for storage. All right, now over here, I thought it'd be really fun to make this big room the dining area, or the mess room. This would be called the mess room, where the crew is going to be able to go and eat their meals, play their games, tuck away when there's a storm, and kind of keep out of the way when they can't be up on the upper deck. So here, let's draw some chairs maybe, and you can see these chairs behind. Now I'm drawing a little bit fast, and that's because I want to make sure we can get to all of these rooms, but you're welcome to pause this video at any time as you are spending time on each room. Now let's keep that ladder going. In fact, let's now have this ladder extend to this next level, and I'm going to shift it over a little bit. And now we're going to be entering this section. Also is pretty big, and because we have a big crew, I'm going to draw the bunk room. Now the way that I'm going to draw the bunk room is I'm going to break it up into two sections here, and I'm going to have an upper bunk, I'm going to have a middle bunk, and I'm going to have all the way down at the base. And I've got my pillows here on the side. You know, that is bigger than this captain's bed. I think I drew them. I'm being too generous with these crew members. I think their beds are pretty small. You got to fit all those people on the boat. So this is going to be a side view of my bunk room. And you know what? Let's draw some skinny little ladders so that everybody can get to their bunk. You got to be able to get to your bunk bed. Oh, that's a lot of beds. I would definitely get claustrophobic, but it looks really cozy. Now let's give this section over here a little bit more, let's compartmentalize it just a little bit. So over here, I'm going to make the sick room. Now the sick room is where you would go if you were seasick or if you needed medical attention. And I'm going to draw these hammocks because hammocks were much easier to make portable beds with. Instead of having something built in, you could put people up in a bed wherever they needed and take them down whenever you needed. So I'm going to make a bunch of hammocks in here, and I'm going to call this our sick room. Now, maybe next to our sick room, we're going to have a storage room, and this particular storage room, let's go ahead and make this the food storage room. So we're going to have all kinds of cans and food storage. Maybe we have some bread bags or big bags of potatoes, maybe some flour sacks, some crates of dried fruit. And this is going to give them access because here we have that dining hall, so they're going to be able to get their food. I'm really just making this up as I go. Every boat, every ship has different needs depending on what the ship is used for. But if this is a pirate ship, let's make sure that we have a secret chamber. And this secret chamber, let's see if we can fit all of their treasure in this secret chamber. I'm going to draw some treasure chests right here. And then I'm also going to draw some barrels. And the way I'm going to draw a barrel is I'm going to draw an oval at the top and then give it some rounded sides. And maybe in these barrels, say dynamite, you know, keep out. I'm going to put some X's on them. Keep away. That's dynamite, but actually, it's actually really treasure. All right, so we have these storage areas down below. Now, these are going to be our deep down storage areas that aren't going to be accessed that often. But let's make sure we have plenty of gunpowder, plenty of cannonballs. Maybe that's where we store dynamite. This would be a very, very dangerous area. And then down here we can have maybe our wood for fire or our tools. I'm just going to draw a bunch of boxes and you can fill that in with whatever you would like. And then let's make sure that we store a lot of water. So I'm going to make water barrels down here and make sure that there's water. And then I'm also going to make sure that there are plenty of other things that they would need. All right, now that I've drawn the inside of this ship, this is looking really, really good. I'm going to finish off with the masts and the sails. I don't have as much space as I want on the top here, but that's okay. We're going to break this into two different sections of sail. So first I've drawn in my mast poles right here, and I'm going to start up at the very top, and I'm going to draw the very, very top of this, and I'm going to draw this other top one on this side so that I can keep it pretty consistent. Now, as you're drawing the sails, the very top beam and the bottom beam are going to be different lengths. You see how this one's shorter, and this one is longer. And the reason why is because it's going to give me more surface area. And then I'm going to draw the bottom of my sail, and it's going to feel like a U shape that connects the two. So top beam, bottom beam, side, side, give it a little curve. And then the bottom of the sail, because it's windy, it's going to be blowing out. So it's not attached to the bottom except for these points. So that's where you're going to get your curve. Okay, let's try that again. So now I have this top beam. Now the bottom of this is going to act as the top of the next one. So I'm going to draw the next base all the way down here. And you'll see that it's longer than that top base. Now remember, we're going to connect them together. So it's going to be a little bit of a curve, a little bit of a curve. And then in order to show the bottom of that sail, what are we going to do? We're going to connect it with a curve like this to show that the sail is taut, or maybe catching some wind. Now, what I like about pirate ships is they have all kinds of sails, and I'm going to draw one that's right behind here. You don't have to draw this one, but I like the ones that are a little bit on an angle. You don't have to draw this one, but I'm going to draw this one a little bit on an angle. And this is going to attach from behind. And I want to have a little bit of a sail that goes like this. And here it's going to attach. All right, now we have our mast, we have our sails. Now we also have something that are called shrouds. And shrouds are really really important. Shrouds are, I'm going to erase where the mast is because this particular one is going to go behind the sail. So now I'm going to erase it. But I want to show you what shrouds are. So shrouds are how you would climb up and check on the sails and the masts and get all the way up into the crow's nest. So the way I'm going to draw these shrouds is kind of like how I drew the ladder, but I'm not going to draw perfectly straight lines. I'm going to draw lines at a diagonal, And I'm going to go across, 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 down, down to make a grid. You see now how we have this really great net that you can climb up? Because this is behind the sail, I'm going to show a little peek of where it would be way up here. So you see how this would go all the way up, but because it's behind the sail, I'm just going to show where this peeks through, and that's where I'm going to draw my little lines, and now my lines across that show where that shroud is so that you can climb all the way up to the top. Now, at the very top of this, we got to give it a little flag. And there's my little flag. You can do a triangle. You can make it a little wavy so it feels more like a long and skinny flag blowing in the wind. You can make it rectangular, however you'd like. All right, we're going to take the same idea from this mast over to this one. So we have the top sail, the main top sail that we're going to draw. We have the top beam up here, and now we're going to draw that base one, just like this. And it's a straight line, but it's a little bit wider than the top one. And now I'm going to draw on that sail. So I'm going to connect it with a curved line right here. And then remember, we got to show the bottom of the sail, not the beam. And so we're going to connect those 2 points with the curve. And now we have that sail. Okay, let's do that again at the base. So now I'm going to draw my base beam down here. And same thing, I'm going to draw my curve a little different. I'm going to make it go right through this way, give it a little bit of a curve. And now in order to show the sail and not just that base beam, I'm going to give it that curve. And because our masts are behind the sail, I'm going to erase the mast behind the sail. And you can still see the lines, and that's okay. We'll be able to now draw the shrouds. So I've got to get my diagonal line and line here. And remember, we're just going to go across, 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 down, down, down. And this is going to give us that net. Down, down, across, 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 just like that. And we got to get those parts that are peeking through. Across, 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 across. There we go. Now we have our shrouds. Let's give this one a rectangular sail. So I'm going to do a big rectangular sail. My paper is running out of space, so I'm going to keep it long and skinny. Sometimes a pirate ship will have something called a flying jib, or an old-fashioned ship will have something called a flying jib. And a bowsprit is going to be that beam, you know, that sometimes comes out away from the ship. It's this nice beam. My paper's run out of space, so I'm going to keep mine really short. A flying jib is going to attach to the main mast, but it's going to come all the way out like a diagonal. And it's going to come out like a diagonal here. And because we have that practice of drawing that curve, we've got our flying jib, and it's just an extra sail that sometimes there's more than one, there's multiple kinds of sails. But for today's exercise, I hope this has given you an idea of the different parts of a ship. We have our main, the under portion of the ship. And before we finish, we want to make sure that we've drawn all the way underneath. Underneath the ship, there is what's called the keel. And the keel is going to, I'm just going to draw it down below here. And then every boat, every ship has a rudder. And this is what's going to be under the water. If, I'm going to draw the waves. If this boat were going, this is all under the water. So this rudder right here is going to give you the ability to steer the ship. And we want to make sure the hull is nice and supported. So I might draw a little bit more over here. And I'm going to fill in the portions that are not part of our cutaway so that we can see the inside of the boat really well. These are the parts of the outside of the ship. And now we have our ship.